Have you listened to the new Beyonce album yet? Yep. Welcome to Portland Tea Party. I'm Ciara Pressler. Today on the show, we are setting the record straight on PCEF. What's PCEF? You're about to find out. Also, have you listened to Beyonce's new album? If not, what are you doing with your life? Right after this. Welcome to Portland Tea Party. This is your favorite show about Portland, the tea, and where the party's at. I am your host, Ciara Pressler. Is this my full-time job? Absolutely not. You can tell by the way I make up what I'm saying as I go along. But one thing that's not being made up is how excellent, this is my segue, how excellent Beyonce's new album, Cowboy Carter is. Is this Portland news? Yes, because Beyonce is everywhere news. The album dropped on the West Coast yesterday at about 9 p.m., I believe, because I started listening to it at about 9:20. So I think the midnight drop was Eastern time for the U.S. Thank you, Queen. It was a spiritual experience. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, listened to the whole album. I'm not a big country fan, but I'm a huge Beyonce fan, and it is absolutely a masterpiece. Of course, it mixes lots of different genres, has layers of things to discuss and interpret. I look forward to reading somebody's dissertation on this album, and of course, seeing what else she does with her Act 2 Cowboy Carter era. If you are loving this black cowboy surge that we are seeing everywhere, it is absolutely trending, then you will want to be at your computer at 10 a.m. today. That's just a few minutes from now, because tickets go on sale for the 8 Seconds Juneteenth Rodeo here in Portland at the Coliseum in June. Now, this debuted last year. It was the most exciting event of the entire year. I'm so proud of Ivan McClellan. He is an established, globally known photographer of black cowboys and cowgirls and that whole rodeo life. And his idea was to have this huge event for Portland, and he did it. People worked around the clock to pull it off, and it was amazing. The energy in the room was unlike anything else. So you have to go to this event, but it will sell out. So be sure that you are online at 10 or maybe 10:05 so I can get my tickets first. All right, let's bring it back to Portland, and today we are going to find out more about the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund and talk to the co-chair of their committee right after this. Hey, Mike. Welcome, Megan Horst, the PCEF committee co-chair. It is nice to see you. We do already know each other because PCEF is one of the clients of my company, Pregame, but we'll talk about that in a second. So tell me about what you do as a committee co-chair. What is the committee for PCEF?
Yeah, so I am co-chair along with Ranfis of a 9-member volunteer community advisory committee. Okay. So our role is to kind of oversee the fund, offer strategic direction, and make recommendations to City Council.
All right, so let's back up for people who don't know what PCEF is and they may see it in the news and they're like, what's the big deal? So Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund, what is it? How did it get started?
Yeah, great question. So back in 2019, this was an initiative on the ballot, and over 2/3 of Portlanders supported it. And basically, it establishes a fund to advance climate action here in Portland, specifically projects that benefit those on the front line of climate change. So low-income Portlanders, Black, Indigenous, and people of color Portlanders, and workers with disability, and women in the trades who are underrepresented. Right. So it's one of a kind in the country and world, and it's advancing real climate action.
Awesome. And I started working with PCEF. Well, you started right away when it first was there, right, on the committee.
Correct.
And the committee's role, again, is to be the voice of the community and keep them on track and keep them in integrity with the purpose of the fund, right?
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I started working with PCEF in 2021. They were a new team. It's like a young, fierce team of people who are super passionate about what they do, but essentially a startup within government, a well-funded startup, albeit. So my company came in to do a bunch of training on like entrepreneurship and working as a team and communication. And I must say, of all the teams we've ever worked with, they probably like got it the most, and they're a high functioning team now. And then I came back and we were behind the scenes during the development of the climate investment plan, which was September 22 through about, it got approved in like September of 23. So let's talk about the climate investment plan and what happened.
Yeah, great question. So the PCEF Climate Investment Plan, we passed it, like you said, in fall 2023, and then City Council also unanimously approved it. And it's a 5-year action plan to spend $750 million in 16 strategic program areas that all advance climate action in some way or another. So the program areas include things like clean energy, renewable energy, green infrastructure, regenerative agriculture, and workforce development.
Yeah.
And it positions the city to make strategic advancements both through city bureau funding and action, but also investments directly into nonprofits and community-based orgs to advance their work.
So one reason PCEF gets so much attention is because they have $750 million to spend over 5 years. And then we just found out even more, like over $1 billion according to economic projections. And so they're having to figure out what to do with the next tranche of money. Where does PCEF's money come from when the other bureaus are like under budget?
Yeah, one of the brilliant aspects of PCEF is that it's a surcharge on rich corporations, specifically rich retailers that are making over $1 billion in sales, $1 million in sales, sorry. And it's a 1% surcharge. And the reason PCEF is bringing in more revenue than originally anticipated is because those corporations, and there's I think about 150 of them in the Portland region, are making record-breaking profits. Yeah. So we do have extra money to spend, and we think it's a great problem to have because the need for climate action is so big. And actually, while our money sounds like a lot, it's only a fraction of the amount needed to advance true climate action in Portland.
Yeah, that was something that really struck me. So there's Portland has something called the Climate Emergency Work Plan, and this is a very thorough plan, and it's an assessment of how much money it would actually take to actually solve the problem and make us climate resilient. And it's like $50 billion or something like that. So when you look at like the $1 billion that PCEF has, people kind of think, oh, PCEF's going to solve everything. Well, no, like we're nowhere near that, but they are doing very significant projects. So for example, let's talk about the tree canopy, right? So people are like, oh, I'm planting trees. That's so cute. But it's a big issue, and it's a big justice issue because we're in the Cully neighborhood right now. We're live from Verde, and I see some beautiful old trees outside, but there's not a canopy over houses and over the street, which keeps it cool when we're having higher and higher heat in the summer. Where are the tree canopies? They're in wealthy areas, you know, and there's a huge benefit and a cost benefit. If I live in an area that has trees over my house in the street, I may not have to spend as much on energy to cool my house. So it's only fair that the tree canopy expands to areas that have been underprivileged. So it's programs like that with specific, I want to say, because I'm very defensive of PCEF as someone who's been there like auntie behind the scenes as a coach and a consultant. And the media, first of all, I don't know why they don't just ask you all directly or go to the website, because all the information is right there. So people will say like, I don't know what they're spending all this money on. And like it says on their website exactly how much they're spending on what and what the metrics are. And they've already put out a lot of things. I'm going off. They've already put out quite a lot of things and are seeing impacts. So people who say, what are they doing, are extremely disingenuous or lazy. That's my editorial. So we see the huge range of things. And then the other thing is they're trying a lot of things. Like you said, there's no other program quite like this anywhere. So other cities are actually watching us to innovate in this area. And let's be honest, Portland is not known as an innovator in a lot of areas these days. So this is a huge investment in Portland as a leader in climate.
Totally. I just 100% agree. Yeah.
Is there any other reason that you think PCEF's in the news or people are looking at PCEF? And I've even heard that commissioners are talking about like putting it back on the ballot. What is all that?
Yeah, it's in the news a lot because there's more money coming in. And I think anytime you have more money, especially when other bureaus are having their own budget crises, everybody's looking to say, how can I access PCEF to save my budget or to do things completely unrelated But we as a committee are really firm that PCEF revenue has a mission and purpose attached to it, and we have plenty to do within the mission of PCEF, so these other things are not valid asks. So that's why it's in the news. There's extra money and other people with different ideas of what to do. But we as a committee already have directed PCEF funds for the foreseeable future into needed areas.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say here again about public information is that all of the committee meetings are live streamed on YouTube. You can go back and watch any of them. You can do public comment if you want. You can watch them live or anything that's already happened. And y'all are not allowed to make decisions outside of a public meeting. And you have a lot of integrity with that, because I've been to your public meetings as well as your small groups in between. And so, you know, you listen to the community, and then all of you represent kind of different areas of the community, whether that's like age, race, area of expertise, and climate. And, you know, last week in particular, y'all did something really fierce, was say, you know, we will not be rushed into deciding where this last, I think, like $160 million is going to go. We are going to do a deliberate process. We're still going to be quick because climate is an emergency, but we are going to encourage people who are applying to work in coalition, to have community as a part of it. But you're not saying, oh, bureaus can't be in this, or even like companies can't be in this. Let's solve the problem the best way possible, but let's do it in a coalition way where we're all working together, which I think was brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, everybody should totally watch our meetings, and you can see how deliberative we are, and agree, we're very transparent. And yeah, that's another reason we're in the news. It's not just that we have extra money, but we've made some pretty big decisions at the last few meetings about how to direct that money. And at our most recent meeting last week, we did decide to release a call for proposals for about $160 million in a handful of projects, large, high-impact coalition-led projects. And in a couple of meetings prior to that, we also recommended a bunch of money, about $360 to $380 million, to be directed to city bureaus to advance their climate action efforts. Right. So a range of projects, including some of the tree planting stuff you were talking about earlier.
And again, that's who's best suited to get this done fast. Like, if Portland Parks and Rec has the apparatus to plant trees and maintain them, they should be the ones doing it, is some of the logic here. But they work in partnership with area nonprofits and communities and things like that.
The tree planting work is truly a coalition.
Well, let's talk about you for a moment. This is all volunteer. You all do a lot. I know you're emailing and on the phone and meeting with city leaders in between your big meetings that are live streamed. What do you do for your day job?
Yeah, PCEF is definitely not my day job. Normally, I'm a professor at Portland State University, and I direct the Masters of Urban and Regional Planning program also.
Wow, they're lucky to have you. And I saw you have a PhD. What? I'm going to start calling you doctor. What is your PhD in?
It's in urban design and planning from the University of Washington.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, with a focus on food justice and climate justice. Yep.
That's great. Wow. Well, we as Portland are lucky to have you. Portland State's lucky to have you, and so is PCEF. And thank you for coming and informing people on what's really going on. And I hope those other journalists are watching today's episode so they can get up to date too. Or just go to PCEF's website and read what's there. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks, Ciara.
When we're back, we're going to talk about PCEF grantees and talk to one of them, which is Verde, where we're at today after this. Welcome back for The Tea. I am here with Candace Avalos. She is the Executive Director of Verde, where we are live from today in the Cully neighborhood in Portland. Candace, thank you so much for making time and welcoming us to your space.
Yes, welcome to Cully and welcome to Verde.
Yes, I have been here before because we worked together a couple years ago on your strategic plan for Verde, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that was great. That's how we met, and we've stayed friends, which I appreciate.
Yes.
So tell us, what is Verde?
So Verde is an environmental justice nonprofit here in the Cully neighborhood. We work to build environmental wealth in low-income and people of color communities. I like to say that Cully is a place that we do our work, but is also a symbol of our work across the state to ensure that environmental justice communities are at the forefront of climate change action.
What is environmental justice?
Environmental justice is about how we live, work, play, making sure that our environments are resilient to climate change, of course, but also just that they're fruitful, right? That we have green spaces, we have parks, that we have access to the green economy and green jobs. So overall, we just want to ensure that everybody has clean water, clean air, and a place that they can, be proud of to call home.
One thing that really struck me and has always stayed with me when we were working together is the example of, if I live in maybe a less wealthy area and I want to be around nature. First of all, we talked in the first segment about like tree canopy, but like maybe there's not a park, maybe there aren't trails, and that's something Portland's really known for. And if I live in like Northwest Portland, it's very easy to access a trail or a forest and have that wealth of the environment. But if I live in a different area, it's not as easy. And that's part of the justice, is geographic, but also socioeconomic.
Absolutely. And one of our main accomplishments is that we built Cully Park. Cully is definitely a neighborhood, not only the largest neighborhood of Portland and the most diverse, but it's also just completely under-resourced. And Cully Park was a former landfill. So just think about like how this was such a detriment to the community, harmful to the community, and now is a beautiful park where everyone can benefit from. So that's a big part of our mission, is to ensure that everyone has those rich environmental assets nearby.
I have been to Cully Park with your team. We did our like finale of our strategic planning and like a team building day there, which I thought was so cool. Like, let's celebrate in a place that Verde helped create. And it is a wonderful park. And every time I'm driving from the airport to my house, I have to go by it and I'll like point it out to people who came there and I tell them the whole story. It's so cool.
Yes.
What are some of the other examples of the work Verde has done? Like, what are the receipts? Where can we see it happening in the community?
Absolutely. Well, for us, environmental wealth, of course, is those physical assets that we talked about, but it's also about political power. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of our work in advocacy spaces. We right now are focusing on things like water justice, transportation justice, air quality justice, energy justice. Mm-hmm. And so we were one of the leaders of the Oregon Clean Energy Opportunity Campaign that passed in 2021, which passed really significant bills like healthy homes, making sure that we created a new ratepayer class for folks to have access to energy, and making Oregon the most ambitious target to get to 100% clean energy by 2040.
Wow.
So that policy work is important, and to bring the voices of our communities to those tables and demand that we make different decisions with our resources.
Now, I haven't read your strategic plan for a minute, but I do believe one of those goals was to create a structure where community could be more involved in advocacy and where you could hear from them in order, to really integrate people who don't necessarily work at Verde, but who Verde is representing. Is that something that's part of your agenda?
Yes, we just hired our advocacy coordinator, which was
nice.
part of our
Congrats.
strategic plan. They started last week.
Yes.
So really, we're seeing that come to fruition, and being able to create spaces for our community to come together, share what their experiences are. And for us, it's important to tell policymakers that this community knowledge, this is policy wonkery. We often, it's like you think of policy wonks as people, nerdy people with data, right? But our community's experiences is the exact wonky policy information that we need to make those decisions. So, with our new advocacy coordinator and our expanded team, since the last time you were here, we've added like 4 new positions in that team. And so that is a result of us really, making our scope bigger across the state.
That's great. Mm-hmm. So many questions, but you're really passionate about Portland itself You really love Portland. You're doing a project where you're going to like every park in Portland and posting it on Instagram, which is really cool. But you're not from Portland. What made you fall in love with this city?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Virginia. I am the daughter of Guatemalan immigrants. They came to this country in the 70s and settled in Washington, D.C. And I was born in Nova, Northern Virginia. That's what we call it over there. And so I did all of my education over there, went to James Madison University, and after grad school, I got my first job at Portland State University. So prior to Verde, I was there for 8 years, and working with student leaders and teaching classes on civic engagement, I got really invested in the city, and not only to help my students like understand how they could make a difference, but it got to the point where I was like, well, I want to make a difference too, so I got involved and have really invested a lot of time and energy into the city that I think is so, impactful, and the community here is really invested in our, positive future. And so that's what, gets me excited to be a part of it.
And you're going bigger because you're also running for office.
That's right.
Yes. So new districts, very excited about this new district format where East Portland gets to have representation, 3 city council members, and you're running for one of those slots, right?
Absolutely. And the work that I do at Verde is so critical to the platform I'm creating for city council, because East Portland is the exact example of an environmental justice community that has lacked green infrastructure, tree canopy, has, poor air quality issues. And now that we'll have representatives out there that can actually talk and bring to light all of these issues in City Hall, because they have been long neglected. So my mission here at Verde and the mission of the work that I do in the city is very much tied to why I decided to run.
Yeah, I think a before and after of the city transition, that's important to understand. And one reason I'm so excited about the district model is that right now we have our 5 commissioners, if you count the mayor, and they represent the whole city. So all 5 of them could live on the same city block, right? And have the same geographic perspective or like base of operations for the city. So if they never come out to East Portland or Deep Southeast or North Portland, or they just don't have a reference for it, they're not gonna, it's very difficult to fairly represent it. So now in our new format, 4 districts, 3 council people per district.
Correct.
And then there will be, I think, a district office as well as being at City Hall.
Yeah, and then not only that, but we're going to be voting for them via ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
And so that'll really expand people's access to the ballot box and make sure that their choice is truly reflected.
Yeah.
When we elect those 3 people in East Portland, it will have literally the most representation East Portland has had in our whole 100 plus year history as a city. So that's super significant.
Wow, that's good to know. Well, I'm hoping to host a debate, later on, maybe like in the fall, some debates. We'll do like, is this District 1?
We're in District 2.
District 2. So it'll be like District 2 debate, but it's going to be like all personal information, like not
the real
political.
tea.
Yes. So on that note, Beyonce's new album, how are you feeling about it?
What do you mean? Like what say
else?
less.
Yeah.
Like
What feeling?
how can I put into words how I feel about it?
Right.
I mean, it's like, not only is it just iconic, but it's so critical to tell stories of Black country music stars, and her using her platform to uplift that genre is just iconic.
I was thinking as I was driving over here today, like I would like to see an economic analysis of all the other like Black country musicians and how, especially the ones featured on the album, but how their like followers increase, streams increase, like income, concert attendance. I think obviously she's an economic force too for the community. So
100%. And I will be at that rodeo. So
oh yeah, Juneteenth rodeo.
Exactly.
Yes, we got to finish here. 35 minutes left until tickets go on sale. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Candace. I always love spending time with you. And we got our to-do list includes run for office, not mine, but run for office, go to the rodeo, and stay tuned for Beyonce tour tickets, right?
Done.
Okay, great. When we're back, where is the party this week? I'm here to tell you right after this. Party time. Get out and about this weekend. I know it's been sort of a dreary week here in Portland this week, but the sun is coming back out, I think, later today. If not that, tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful Easter weekend, and there are some great events happening. We told you Juneteenth rodeo tickets on sale at 10 a.m., so just start your weekend confident that you are going to have those tickets for June. Tomorrow, Portland Art Museum is opening its new exhibition on sneakers. I am here for it. Hope my nephews want to go check that out. It's going to be amazing, and it's open for a while, so you have plenty of time to go to Portland Art Museum and check that out. If you just can't wait, or if you like to be made to wait, Kink Fest is happening. Yes, I said Kink Fest is happening this weekend at the Expo Center. Now, it's also sold out, but I have a feeling that if you just go sit outside with some popcorn, it's going to be excellent people watching, or maybe you'll even find your ideal partner. Can't hurt to try, right? It's Easter weekend in a somewhat related but totally unrelated way from... Anyway, if you're hanging out with children, maybe don't go to Kink Fest, but there is a Easter Bunny Express ride at the Oregon Rail Heritage Center. That sounds absolutely adorable. If you're hanging with Jesus, you might go check out a church service. I'm here for any place where the gospel is happening, so drop a comment on Instagram. Let me know where the best music is on Easter. And if you're feeling very academic and erudite and informed, next Wednesday, Oregon Humanities is hosting New York Times journalist Eli Saslow at the Alberta Rose Theater. That's on Wednesday. Go to Oregon Humanities for information and tickets. I'll be there. I hope you will be too. All right, remember, you can't complain unless you get involved, and we are here to tell you what's up, how to get involved. See the show notes for links to PCEF and to Verde, and we will keep you informed as things develop this year with both the elections and PCEF and its investments. Thank you so much for spending your Friday morning with me. I'm Ciara Pressler, and this is Portland Tea Party.